Welcome. Thank you for showing up early here at the World Wide Wicket company for the mid-level assistant associate production agent manager position. I appreciate that punctuality. Punctuality is a trait that we look for in all of our employees here at the World Wide Wicket company. Did you have any difficulty finding the place? Okay, that's interesting. Why were you here before? Usually, no one besides interviewing candidates or employees have been here at the World Wide Wicket company. So, I didn't see that you used to work here on your resume. You've interviewed with us before. You've interviewed with me before. Um, that's interesting. Let me look something up. I do not have you in our records. Have you changed your name recently? No. And you've interviewed with us in the past. Was it a long time ago? 6 months ago. Okay. And yeah, I can't find your. Did you sign the form that said that you were willing to consent to being recorded for this interview? Okay, well, unfortunately, you have to sign again anyway. So here you go. Let me just hand that to you, and yeah, no, if you could just sign that. Let me get you a pen. Here you go. Okay. All right. So you just sign that. Thank you. Here we go. And you verbally consent to having this interview being recorded, video, audio, and me typing down information. That is great to hear. All right, and so we have your consent for that, and I don't know why we don't have any record of you. You said it was 6 months ago? Okay, can you give the full date and time? Okay, let me search that in our records. And you said it was with me. I have it down here that was a no-show. A no-call, no-show, that they didn't call and they didn't show up. And so it's yeah, I don't know what happened. So sorry to hear about that. But hey, it's essentially you have a do-over. You have a second chance to make a first impression. Our records are usually automatically uploaded to the cloud, so if you had any video recording, it would be saved there and it would be at that time and date. It's not like I upload these years later, so it would be like automatically uploaded to our system. So I don't think that is what happened, unless there was an audio concern. But then if that's the case, then we have the double verification of me typing down information. So I don't know what happened, but I'm going to say sorry. We apologize, and we're not sure who's to blame or what occurred, but it's not going to happen again. And we're going to have this wonderful interview. Okay. Now, as you may already be aware, we do have an extensive interview process here at the World Wide Wicket company. Normally consists of 2 to 3 interviews here, and the interview process today should not take more than 30 minutes. Do you have any concerns with that time frame? All right, this is an open interview, so if you have any questions, please feel free to ask any and all questions relating to this position here at the World Wide Wicket company. Yes, this is still the same position of the mid-level assistant associate production agent manager position. Yes, yes, no. We have filled it in the past, but they didn't stay long enough, so we had to reopen up the position. Right. No, we are surprised as well, especially with as thorough as we go through with these interviews, looking for the particular person to be the right fit to our company culture and our company aptitudes. So I'm just going to start off with a little bit of background information about the company. I'm aware you probably have heard this all before, but I do have to just go through all of this information just for our records because apparently we can't find your information. So here at the World Wide Wicket Company, we pride ourselves as being the industry-leading brand of wickets, from manufacturing, distribution, promotion, operations management, and even including research and development. There is no other company that has such a comprehensive process of providing the best wickets, and we are the only company that have full vertical and horizontal business practices to capitalize upon our reputation and brand when it comes to corporate efficacy and the environmental impact of the wicket production process. As I'm sure you are aware, we are trying to hire and fill this mid-level assistant associate production agent manager position. Right, so now we will be going over primarily behavioral and personality-based questions in this interview. This is due to our diverse and specific nature for company culture. We truly want to find someone with the company spirit and a compatible business aptitude and mindful approach that can really help endorse and promote that attitude throughout all of our company and throughout the entire corporate structure of our employees. There are no right or wrong answers. Okay, you got me there. There are some wrong answers to these questions, but what we really want is to get to know you and who you are, and have it fully recorded and remembered in our database so that we don't have to conduct an interview again. Now, at the end of this interview, would you mind to fill out a survey and leaving a comment after this interview? We are in the process of updating our interview process, and anything that you can think to help us in that process would be appreciated. Please be respectful. This is a professional business. So leaving a comment and completing the survey will have no impact on you being hired for this position, but it will be greatly helpful to us and for future hiring decisions. So please leave a comment. We read all of them. In fact, did you leave a comment last time you were here? Okay, so I found the comment that you left. Well, thank you. I do like this tie a lot. When you leave a comment, if you could be a little bit more specific about what you would like to improve, that would be helpful. This one just says, like the voice, like the tie. That's very kind and complimentary, and I do sometimes concerned that my voice is kind of both too high and too low, and can be kind of grating at times. And so it's nice to know that someone appreciates the tone of voice and that it's not too monotonous, but it's still soothing enough to be helpful to this interview. Anyway, what interested you about this position here at the World Wide Wicket Company of the mid-level assistant associate production agent manager position? All right, and what about the World Wide Wicket Company makes you want to work here? Okay, I'm detecting a little bit of sarcasm there, and I just want to make sure that it's very clear. When you say excellent attention to detail and care about all of their employees, is that a... Okay. Well, we should get past that, and we'll move on. And it's important to move on from mistakes that are made. In fact, that is kind of one of the questions that is here. Can you give a time of when you've had to provide constructive feedback to someone after they have made a mistake? See, that's great. That's respectful. That's thoughtful, and it's empathetic to what they went through. That's great. Can you give a time when you've made a mistake, and had to receive constructive criticism or constructive feedback? That I'm sorry to hear that. So that was 6 months ago. What have you been doing in the 6 months since you previously interviewed with this position after losing that position? Well, that's great. Spending time with family. That's a very important thing to do. Right. Helping around the house, taking care of people. That's great. Exactly. Doing the things that you don't always have time for when you're in the hustle and bustle of the 40-hour work week. Totally get that. Exactly. Totally understand. Never been there myself, but I can understand that. So as far as receiving constructive criticism, you've never really had a good example of that. Well, it should be like the example you provided. You should be respectful and thoughtful and provide helpful information, but not in a forceful way. So, for example, a piece of constructive criticism or constructive feedback could be when answering a question in an interview, you always want to acknowledge both the facts of what the question is as well as what the interviewer is looking for, and then follow up with and wrapping it all up together with how you can then shine one of your positive traits into that question. So, with a constructive feedback example, you would want to both acknowledge your mistake, be honest with it, don't sugarcoat it, but also don't give an example of a mistake that is so bad and grievous that you then have to explain away what occurred and why it went wrong. Own up that it was a mistake. Provide the feedback that was given by the manager. If you can remember quote unquote what it is, or if it was written down, that's even best, because then you can have it really well rehearsed in your mind. But you want to give a good example of the feedback so that you then, when you can apply it and execute that feedback. So what we're really looking for is not how bad a mistake you made that you were then corrected on. What we're looking for is the correction that was given, and then how you were able to take that and use it and implement that feedback, especially if it's something like in communication, because that's what we're looking for here, or attention to detail, because that's what we're looking for here in the mid-level assistant, associate, production agent, manager position. What we're looking for are those kinds of traits and qualities. So when you're answering the question, you may want to implement those kinds of things into your question and just have it flow seamlessly, not like you're trying to sell yourself. You don't exaggerate those qualities, just be honest and truthful with your answer. And that's kind of what we're looking for with a lot of these behavioral-based questions. So that would be an example of providing constructive feedback. All right, so it didn't seem like you like that. What does your ideal job look like? All right, so what motivates you to show up to work on time every day? I'm sorry, let me ask you the question again. What motivates you to show up to work on time every day? Well, that is great when you have such a great team that they treat you like family. You could have stopped right there with the treating you like family thing. That was great. That was a great answer. You didn't have to go on to after you left the. So how do you manage being under pressure with tight deadlines? See, that's great. That's thoughtful. Excellent example. There you go. You could have stopped. I'm just saying you could have stopped your answer just a few sentences. Right. So what would you consider your greatest strengths? That's great. What would you consider your greatest weaknesses? Okay, that's interesting. And what are you doing to overcome those weaknesses or to work on that quality and trait? No, that sounds like you're feeding the fire. Is there an example of you learning from your weaknesses or knowing that about you and what you do to prevent that? Right. Okay. And how do you stay organized with multiple projects going on at the same time? Right. But what if the priorities of a job changed like halfway through? Like, let's say you had multiple jobs going on and one suddenly becomes more important after you've already been working on what was the most important job. Well, then that is a great question. What kind of information then is most reliable to you? Reliable, like trustworthy. Well, that's great. What about a work setting? Okay. And why should we not hire you? Now that again goes to your weakness. Is this something that you are working on to improve on and build yourself up? We are looking for someone with a growth mindset. No, not a growth in their mind. A growth mindset. A mindset of that you're always able to change. You're always able to improve. There's never I'm bad at math and I'm never going to be good at math. No, growth mindset says you're not good at math now, but you can learn, you can improve, you can get better, constantly progressing and leveling up in the areas that you're weak, and then strengthening and fortifying the areas that you are strong. The making sure that you're always improving in your life, because that is the thing about growth mindset. You're never stuck in one spot. You can always improve. You can always get stronger, smarter, nicer. The fact is that you are never limited in such a way, primarily, especially with soft skills such as communication. You can always communicate better. You never hit a top line of communication and a peak of communication. Like, I communicate with everybody and everyone understands me and I never have to improve. No, you can always get better. Okay. And do you have any questions for me? I do not know. I believe it was a technological error because, well, yeah, it says no show, no call, no show on my end. But the fact that there's nothing there, not even your resume, is a concern. Um, because usually that's still saved even if it says no call, no show. So it seems like it didn't get uploaded correctly, and I didn't have time to input all of my data and responses and feedback regarding the candidate at that time. So when I looked back, apparently nothing was there, and I probably categorized it as a no call, no show. I don't know why. Now, were your answers the same as today, primarily, or have they improved and grown since the 6 months that we had the first interview that I do not remember? Well, if you had a second chance to do this interview over again, what do you think you would do differently? Right, so that goes to with the whole growth mindset thing. Okay, thank you so much for interviewing with us today. You should hear back from us in a couple of days. As I mentioned, we have many candidates that we're interviewing for this position. Yes, we are interviewing many candidates for this position. Lots of candidates, lots of interviews. Entire schedule is kind of packed right now. You'll either receive an email from me or a phone call. Right, but that's because we had you put. Anyway, you're going to receive an email from me or a phone call. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to send me an email. I know that feeling as soon as you interview, that the interview is over and you get home and think, oh no, I should have asked him about such and such. If you have any questions, please email me and I will reply as soon as I can. You can also please like, leave a comment, subscribe, share this video, fill out the survey, and you can hit the bell notification to make sure that you don't miss any messages from me about this interview. Because we really care about your feedback and communication, and we don't want to miss a thing. So again, check your inbox and have your phone ready. You will get an email or a phone call from us in a couple of days. Thank you again, and have a great week.